Hello, 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 hello. Welcome in, everybody. We are live both on Whatnot and YouTube now. We tried. Hey, Cheryl. How was your day at the store? Hey, Simpson. How is everybody tonight? We are live both on YouTube and on Whatnot right now. Busy day. Miss Tippy had said that y'all didn't need help, so I had planned a morning with my daughter today. We went to a plant sale, and then they treated me to brunch. So, but I'll see y'all on Tuesday. But it seems like y'all had a busy Friday and Saturday. Busy's good, though. Was it like people from the retreat house? Is the retreat house real busy all of a sudden? Yeah, retreat house folks. It seems like the retreat houses around there are starting to get more and more people, which is awesome. Hey, Donna Rick, how are you? Hey, everybody, welcome in. We are live both on YouTube and on Whatnot. So if you're not subscribed already to my YouTube, please do so. We tried this out for the first time. I'm good. I've had a wonderful day. But we tried out being live on Whatnot and YouTube at the same time for the first time. Yeah. With there being two there right now, I feel like that's going to be good for y'all, but also, probably a bit hectic. Okay. All right. So we're live on both places. We tried this for the first time last week, and it was a little bit of a failure, which was okay. That was our guinea pig first time we did it last week. What failed last week when we tried to go live on both places, like it streamed, everything was good, the video was good. Where we failed was the audio. The audio was terrible. So I bought a new mic. I have a brand new boom mic that's right here, and it's really awesome. And but it took a little bit to get here. It was supposed to be like 2 days, but then it ended up taking a little longer. So I had to push back some lives so that we could test it out. But I've got it all set up now, and I've tested it, and it seems to be working great. And so we are live both on YouTube and on Whatnot right now. And that will also enable whatever we do on Whatnot on our sew-alongs. If we're live on YouTube at the same time, then it's going to save that video over on YouTube. That way you can always go back and look at it. So be sure that you're subscribed on YouTube. I have the same name on YouTube that I have over here, so North Shore. So make sure you subscribe to that. What are we going to be making tonight? Yes, I'm doing the pillowcase, and I was running a little late too because I was trying to get my new mic set up and tested and get everything just right. But I've tested it. It seems like it's going to be good. And I do want to say, if you've already bought the pillowcase pattern, I'm going to send you a QR link because I'm going to add a little bit to. Yay! Awesome. If you've already bought it, I'm going to add, I want to add the king size measurements to it because I only put standard size pillowcase measurements to it. Oh, awesome. Awesome. Yes. So if it gets shipped to you this week, it will have the king and the standard size in there. If you've already bought my pillowcase pattern, then I'll be sending you a QR link so you can get that updated one. Or I'll message with you and see, we'll work it out, but I want you to get the king size because I have a king size bed, And so I like having king size pillowcases because that's the kind of pillows I have anyway. So I'm going to be adding the king size to there. Um, but that's what we're going to be making tonight. And I'm pretty excited about it. So I have already cut my fabric, and the fabric I'm going to be using some of this Three Sisters. It's a mixture of sandalwood and muses from Three Sisters. And it's very pretty. So this is going to be the body of my pillowcase. So that will be the body, this beautiful floral here. And the cuff is going to be this big floral. I kind of wanted the big floral to be the whole pillowcase, but I didn't have quite enough fabric to make 2 pillowcases from it. So I settled for it being the cuff. Maybe someday I'll find some more of that, or Three Sisters will make something similar again and I'll get it, or but we'll see. So this is the body, this is the cuff. And then this is going to be my little accent. That beautiful coral is going to be my accent. So that's going to be really pretty. I already have mine cut. So I have cut, and I'm going to show you here. I've cut, this is my piece that I'm going to use for my cuff. This is my piece that I'm going to use for the body. So I've got a nice big piece here cut for the body. And then I've got a strip that I've cut to use for the accent along like the between the cuff and the body. And this piece, the first step in the pattern is to take this strip, fold it wrong sides together, and press it, just like you would if you were making binding from it. So I've got that already pressed. So that is done. Now, what I'm going to do is I want to line up all of my raw edges. And I'm realizing I'm not sure which of these 2 pieces is the extra. That's the extra. Okay, this is it here. All right, so the first thing you're going to do is you're going to give everything a good press first. This piece hasn't been pressed. You're going to place all your raw edges together along this long side here. It's like 40-ish inches. Along that long side, you're going to take it and you're going to pin all of them. You're going to take all your raw edges and you're going to pin them together. So I've got my cuff, my accent, and the body of my pillow. And I want the cuff and the body of my pillow, I want those right sides facing each other. So I've got the accent piece in there. I've got the cuff and I've got the body, and I've got right sides facing for the cuff and the body. And I'm going to go along and I'm going to pin that all the way down. You have like 4 raw edges there that you're pinning together. So you want to just pin it all the way down. You could use clips, but I prefer to use pins on this just because I want to make sure that those raw edges aren't slipping on me at all. But you're just going to pin it all the way down, and I just pin every few inches. You're just pinning all those raw edges together. And y'all are going to be so impressed how quick and easy it is to make pillowcases. I saw somebody post the other day that it was a hint. American Patchwork and Quilting is my favorite quilting magazine. And they are awesome. Their social media is really good. They're always posting tips and free patterns. Um, and just really good. I don't know if it was on there or if I saw it in one of my quilting Facebook groups recently, but someone was saying every time they, let me hold this up so y'all can see it a little better. They were saying that every time they make a quilt for somebody, they make matching pillowcases with some of the scraps. And that would be so easy to do because really you could do, you always have scraps left over from making a quilt. And even if you only had enough to do the little accent piece from the fabric from the quilt, then you could make the rest of the pillow white or cream or whatever. Wouldn't that be so pretty to always to give or to have pillowcases to match your quilts, especially for those that go on beds. A lot of mine are throw size, but if you're making one that's bed size, how awesome would that be to always have pillowcases that match your quilts? I just think that would be so nice. And this quilting fabric feels so nice. I think these pillowcases are going to feel so good on my bed, but I'm just pinning all the way down. I've got all 4 layers. I've got right sides together. And then I've got that little accent piece right in the center of the body and the cuff. So, is anybody else sewing this afternoon? Let me know in the chat if you're sewing this afternoon. Hello, welcome in. If you're new to us, I'm Christina. I'm Sew North Shore, and I like to go live and sew. Now, one thing I did earlier, or when I was practicing making one, or when I was setting this up, once I got this pinned all the way down, I wasn't super precise when I was doing my cutting earlier. I just cut approximate. And then what I found was that it wasn't at the end, my edges weren't quite even just because I wasn't being super precise with my cutting. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to line this back up and I'm going to go back over to my cutting board and I'm just going to cut a clean edge right here before I go on to my next step. So I'm just going to go making hexagons. Oh, that's nice. So I'm just going to go right over to my cutting board and I'm just going to trim and get a nice clean edge there before I go any further. I like having nice clean edges. Also, did it a little, there's measurements in the pattern, but I started out with this width of fabric because I knew, I basically just cut it with the fabric and then cut the selvages off. So now I'm just going to trim it down to get everything even. All right, now we've got a nice clean edge there. Okay, now we're going to do the next step. What are you going to be making with your hexagons? Are you making a quilt or are you making something else? Okay. Okay, this is the part that always confused me when I watched or saw other people making pillowcases using this. Some people call it the roll it up method. Some people call it the burrito method, but this is the part that always confused me. So what we've got right now is we've got those 3 layers together. You've got your cuff, you've got your body, right sides are together. Everything is lined up with the raw edges right here. And what you're going to do is you're going to roll it up on the wrong side. So you're going to take the bottom of the body right here and you're rolling it in so that you end up with the right side is right here and the wrong side is right here. And I'm just rolling that up. So what you're looking at right now is the right side. And I'm just rolling that up. You can see I'm making like a little burrito here. I'm rolling it all up. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, you'll see how my cuff ended up right there at the bottom? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that cuff and I'm going to line that cuff up. See that? I'm going to line the raw edge of that cuff up with this raw edge where I'd already done all of that pinning. And now I'm just going to go along and I'm going to add that edge of that cuff. I'm adding that raw edge of that cuff to what I had already pinned. So what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to slip those pins out and then slip them back in with that additional piece of cuff added in there, while the body of my pillow case is all tucked in, rolled in there. So I'm just moving along and I'm just pulling that pin almost not quite all the way out, just pinning it out a little, just pulling it out a little so that I can add that extra layer of the bottom of the cuff. Let me know in the chat if that makes sense to you, what I'm doing right now. And I've come a little off my raw edge right there. Let me get back. You want to pay attention to make sure that your raw edges are lining up, or you're not going to catch it in the seam. So make sure that now you've got 5 raw edges all there together. 5 raw edges. And I'm just going along. I've got the raw edge of that cuff and I'm just adding it to the other 4 raw edges that we had already pinned. So then now there's 5 raw edges all together. You know what, I should pin this pattern real quick. There we go. Yes, it probably will make more sense after. So what I've done is so basically the cuff has sort of wrapped around the whole piece. So I've got the top of the cuff and the bottom of the cuff is basically holding everything together. You see how the cuff kind of wraps around? It's all wrapped around there. Okay. Now, all right, I'm going to stitch 1/4 inch all the way down this. And I'm going to back stitch at the beginning and the end. I'm taking my pins out as I go so I don't hit a pin with my needle. Let me know in the chat if you've ever hit a pin with your needle and broken it at the most inopportune time. It always seems like bobbins run out and needles break at the most inopportune times, right? When you're in a hurry, when you've got like 2 inches left in a project. Hello, welcome in. We're making a pillowcase. Okay. All right. So I forgot to backstitch at the end of that. Let me just add a little bit of a... Okay. So I have stitched all the way down over through all 5 of those layers. And I've got my complete burrito here. Now, here comes the tricky part. I've got to pull my burrito out. So I'm going to pull it all out from being inside there. No, that wasn't hard at all. Sometimes that gets a little tricky depending on how tight that has gotten. Okay, so now you can see by doing that, I have no raw seam where my cup is attached, and I have pretty on both sides of the cuff. So the cuff is pretty on both sides, and I've got no raw edge. I've completely enclosed all 5 of those raw edges inside of my cuff. So it's going to be very completely contained, and all the raw edges are completely contained in there. Look how pretty these pillowcases are going to be. All right. So now what I'm ready to do is I'm going to go give it a quick press just to get this cuff and everything really nice and flat. I'm going to give it a quick press right here at the ironing board. Now it makes sense. I know that the first time I tried to do this, I'm like, why am I doing that? That's why you do it, so that you can, all your edges end up inside of there. So you don't even have to serge with this project. Because at first I was like, I might want to use my serger. Then I was like, you don't have to use your serger at all on this project, because you're enclosing all of your raw edges. Whoop. And I'm going to show you real quick where I made a mistake, because I realized, look, I had a spot where my raw edges weren't lined up completely right. And this is what happens. It didn't get caught, but I'm going to fix that real quick. It's going to be easy to fix because it's pretty close to the end where it happened. But I'm actually glad that happened, because I'm going to show you I'm just going to flip this just to where that's exposed, and I'm going to fix it real quick. I'm just going to, I'll rip the seam out just a little bit, just to back it up a little bit. And then I will catch all 5 of those. But you can see it's just a little, not even an inch of fabric where it just didn't get caught in the seam. So I'm just going to fix it. I'll rip out a little bit on either side of it, just so I can ease it up to where it needs to be without getting a buckle there. So I'm going to fix that real fast, and then we'll go back to pressing it. But yeah, I noticed it when I went to press immediately that there was a spot where my raw edge had not caught. And that's why I probably did that, because I was talking while I was pinning, you know. but it's okay because we're going to fix it real fast right now. And then we'll head back over there and get it pressed and go on to our next step. Believe it or not, we're almost done with our pillow. Okay, and we fixed it. So now I'm going to go and press it. While I'm pressing it, I am going to snip a few threads that are on the, I'm just doing that now with the edge of my seam ripper too. Okay, so I'm going to go give that a quick press. Got all my layers enclosed there. I fixed the spot where my seam didn't catch, where my edge didn't catch. Oh, these pillowcases are going to be so pretty. Now I'm going to have to make a quilt because I have to match these, because I actually have fabric from this collection to make a quilt with. So now I'm going to have to make the quilt. Let me know in the chat if you've ever made pillowcases. Okay. All right, I've pressed this on both sides. So we're all pressed. I've pressed it on both sides. And now what I'm going to do, and this is going to seem very odd, I'm going to put this together wrong sides together. This is going to seem very odd. You're going to say, but shouldn't it be right sides together? No, because we're going to make a French seam. Now, you want to make sure that you line up this really well where these seams here are coming together. So I'm going to put a pin right on that to keep those together while in fact, I'm going to put a couple pins there because that's, to me, like the most important spot for it to stay aligned so that you have a nice crisp look there. So I've put a couple pins there. I'm going to pin my edge up here at the top. It's another important spot for it to stay aligned. So I want to make sure that's good and pinned in place. And I'm just going to keep pinning it all the way down, pinning my right side, and I'm pinning wrong sides. See, I even want to say it wrong because as quilters, we get so used to, and sewists, we get so used to saying right sides together. But when you're doing French seams, you're going to put your wrong sides together for the first step because there's going to be you're going to end up enclosing these first seams inside another seam so that you have nice clean edges and no issues there. Your seams will be all enclosed. That's one of the really nice things about these pillows is that you have no raw edges, no fraying. It's going to be super durable because they are completely enclosed. All right, I've just about got my pinning done. Couple more pins. Okay. Okay. Now I'm going to sew from here all the way down. Hello, Grandshine. How are you? We're making a pillowcase. Okay. So I've got my wrong sides together. I'm going to sew all the way down this long edge here. Then I'll pivot and sew down this shorter edge. So it's just two edges that we're sewing down. And I'm going to be stitching this at a 1/4 inch seam. I'm using a magnetic seam guide that just attaches right onto the plate of my sewing machine. I love this thing. I recommend them to everybody. Okay, I'm taking my pins out as I go. I did backstitch when I started. Right now I'm coming to the part where there are several layers there. So I'm kind of slowing down there, even though I have a Juki, so it can sew through way more than what I'm asking it to do right here. But you may need to lengthen your stitch length or be more careful as you sew through where that contrast piece is. So now just stitching along. Hey, Grandshine, we're live streaming to YouTube, so this will be recorded and kept over there. And hopefully, I'm hoping my audio is much better than it was last week when we tried this out. The audio was a little bit of a failure last week, which was why I kind of delayed going live again this week until I could get that worked out so that we would have usable video over there. But we have a brand new boom mic, a really big mic that's like right here in my face. I've got to figure out, I'm trying to get the best camera. I've got to figure out camera thing where y'all can actually watch me sew. Let's see if I can. I'll figure out camera so that y'all don't have to always look at my face. Y'all can look at the sewing. I think maybe I can set the camera up further away over there. But we'll figure it out. We're getting better and better. Okay, let me finish taking out the pins. Okay, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to this one corner right here where we did the pivot, and I'm going to cut straight. Don't cut your seam, but I'm just reducing the bulk in it by cutting that right there. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I want to clean this up for a second with my rotary cutter because my seam allowance isn't exactly what I would. I'm just going to clean it up real quick with my rotary cutter, and then we'll do our next step. Because I think I cleaned up my other edge, but I didn't clean up this one when I came over here earlier. Okay, nice edge. It's going to be enclosed. You wouldn't have even been able to tell, but I would have known. So, okay. So now we've got it. We've sewn our wrong sides together. And now we're going to flip it. We're going to flip it wrong side out. We're going to press that corner out really well. Press out your corners really well. A lot of times I'll use a crochet hook for that, or the tips of the friction markers are really good for this too. So I'm going to push out the corner really nicely. And then I'm going to go press it again. So I'm going to press it around all the edges again. And then we're going to do our last step and we'll have our pillowcase made. All right, I've gone through and I have pressed. I've gone through and I've pressed along the seam that we just made. Actually, I just love how that'll be fun. Okay, now I'm gonna move. I showed you my little magnetic seam earlier. I'm gonna move it over to about 5/8 because I want to completely enclose that 1/4 inch seam that we sewed earlier. So I've moved it over to about 5/8, and now I'm going to stitch all the way. I'm basically going to repeat the seam that we did just a bit ago down the long side and the short side with the pivot in the corner. I'm going to back stitch at the beginning and the end. Sometimes I also like to do a little bit of a back stitch in my corners where I pivot, just because I feel like there's a little extra tension there. And I do that too when I'm machine binding my quilts. I'll do a little bit of extra there in the corners just to give it a little more durability. Hello, everybody. We're live both on YouTube and on Whatnot right now. And we are making a pillowcase. Okay. All right. Now, look, I have gone through and I've completely enclosed that seam that we made earlier. That's completely enclosed. Now I'm ready to flip my pillowcase back right side out. Oh my gosh, these pillowcases are so pretty. And that the quilting cotton just makes such a nice, crisp, beautiful pillowcase. Wow, look at that. So we've got this pillowcase completely done. I would want to give it, a good press and just clip seams and that sort of thing. But look how pretty that is. That came out so nice. Isn't it nice? And look on the inside. You've got no raw edges. Everything is enclosed inside that French seam or in the cuff where we did the cuff earlier. So everything is completely enclosed. There's no raw edges. I love this. I think this is so pretty. And look, isn't that, how many of you, when you've made a quilt and you put a border on it and you've had like a big floral print or something, and then you have extra of that big floral from doing the border, like, isn't that a nice use of that extra border print to put it on the cuff like that? I'm so glad you made it in here. So, yes. All right. So that's our pillowcase. They come together very quickly. Um, this demo was live on my YouTube, so it will be over there for you too. If anybody wants the pattern, it is available right now. And I'll do a quick flash sale on it. If you already purchased it without the flash sale, I'll throw something a little extra in with you on when I ship it to you. But I'll start the flash sale now if anybody wants to grab the pillowcase pattern. And then we'll run through some of my other patterns. So that's available for you there. The next thing I'm going to be sewing is the, we're going to be making the thread catcher next. Thread catcher pin, actually, what are we supposed to be doing next? Let me see. Oh, the sewing machine cover. And then tomorrow we have, I might do, I wonder if, I got a late start with this one. And so I'm actually going to switch something up real quick. Yes, a sewing machine cover. Yes. Are there folks that want me to do the sewing machine cover? Because what I can do is I can close out this show and open up the sewing machine cover now. Or I would just need a few minutes to get those supplies together to pull them all over here. Or I can push the sewing machine cover to tomorrow if folks would rather do that. And it will live stream to YouTube, so there will be a recording of it. Yes, sewing machine cover. I'll pop that pattern up there. Sewing machine cover is the next one I'm going to be doing. Oh, it's actually, let's see. Sewing machine cover, whatever I want to do. I appreciate it. I'm the boss. Okay, let me pin this one. I'll run the flash sale on the sewing machine cover right now too. In fact, what I could do is, who would want to get their supplies together? Because I can do the sewing. Let me think. Do I want to do the sewing machine cover now? Or do I want to wait and do the sewing machine cover tomorrow? I think I want to do the sewing machine cover tomorrow. So I'm going to do the sewing machine cover tomorrow. Let me move it real quick. Let's go to shows. Okay, well, I'll move the sewing machine cover to 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. So that puts me tomorrow. I'm going to do the so we'll do a lot of sewing tomorrow. We'll spend all tomorrow afternoon together, and I'll live stream it all to YouTube so that it'll all be recorded. But tomorrow we'll do the sewing machine cover. We'll do the next steps on the quilted jacket. And we'll do the thread catcher and pin cushion. And my sewing machine cover and thread catcher and pin cushion are all going to match. They're all going to be coordinated because I thought that would be so cute to have all that coordinated. So mine are all going to be coordinated. But I will Hmm. Simpson, I see your question if you're still here. I see your question in my messages. Okay. All right. So tomorrow we're going to do three projects. We're going to do three things. We're going to do the sewing machine cover. We're going to do, and you helped me pick that fabric for the sewing machine cover a few weeks ago. We're going to be doing, this will be this is going to be my sewing machine cover. Isn't that pretty? We're going to be doing that fabric. This is going to be my lining. It's a really pretty geometric. I'm glad you got your path. I don't know what happened to the first set. I'm sorry. I've never had something fall in the black hole quite so badly. And you may eventually get that second set. Or I don't know what might have happened to it. Maybe it got delivered to somebody else. So, but I just hit reprint on it and just re-shipped you everything. And so I don't know if you got the first set or if you got the second set. But I'm glad you finally got one of them. Okay. All right. This has been really fun. And oh, the other thing, I'm going to add a show tomorrow. Or actually, I'm so happy that you got them too. I'm going to add in my shows tomorrow, I'm going to have kits for some of these patterns too. I know I haven't offered kits in a couple months now. I haven't offered kits, but tomorrow I'll have kits. Yay. And I'll have those kits available in all three of the shows. So regardless of which one you join, there'll be some kit options for you for some of my patterns. So tomorrow there'll be kit options. So that'll be really fun. So tomorrow we're going to make, and we'll have kit options, for all of my pattern or I'll try to have for all of them or most of them. So we'll have kit options tomorrow, and we'll do the sewing machine cover, the thread catcher / pin cushion, and we'll work on our quilted jacket. So that's all going to be happening tomorrow and whatnot. I also need to schedule a D-stash again soon. I might do that. Tomorrow's going to be, I feel like that's already 3 shows for tomorrow that are all sew-alongs and kits. So maybe one night this week I'll do a D-stash. I'll get that on the calendar. So if you join me tomorrow, I'll have it scheduled. Maybe we'll do a D-stash at the end of, no, because we're already doing a 4, 6, and an 8. Okay. Or maybe I'll throw some D-stash in those sew-alongs. That might be fun. That could be fun to throw some D-stash in with my sew-along show. Usually I just do kits or patterns with my sew-along, but it could be fun to throw in a little bit of D-stash. Let me know if you think that's a fun idea. To throw in some random fabric. Yeah, that would be good. Okay, we'll do that. We'll throw in some D-stash along with some kits and some patterns. That'll be fun. I could do that while I'm sewing. I can throw some of that stuff up there. All right. So it's been fun. This was a kind of short live. Who wants, would y'all like me to make the other? I've got the other pillowcase cut out. Would y'all like to see it again? I can do it again. It's already pinned, actually. Do y'all want to see it again? I can do it again. Let's do that. Let's make the other one since it's already ready to go. Plus, if you were late joining, you missed the beginning. So, okay. So we'll start over. We'll just do it again. We'll do the second one. Okay. So we've already done the pinning part. So let me show you what we've already done if you missed the beginning. So we've got 3 pieces here. We've got our the body of our pillow. We've got the cuff of our pillow. And then we've got this pretty little accent strip right here. And we've lined up all 5 of those raw edges, and we've got right sides together, and we've pinned it all the way down. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll it up from the bottom. Roll it up from the bottom, and I'm rolling it toward the wrong side so that the right side is showing up in the roll. So I'm going to end up with a roll of pretty side up. So it's a roll of the pretty fabric. So you'll see you're seeing from the wrong side. This is the right side over here. And I'm just rolling that up just like that. Just rolling it up. You don't want it super tight because then it'll be difficult to flip it back out. But you also want it to not be too fat either, because then it won't fit right inside the burrito. So I'm just rolling, rolling, rolling. And you see I'm starting to come to my cuff here. So now I'm going to take the edge of my cuff, and I'm going to fold it and wrap it around so that it's enclosing that burrito that I've just made. It's literally like wrapping around and keeping it all secure. Now I'm going to move my pins so that it adds that 6th layer of the bottom. I'm just moving my pins. I'm going along and I'm moving my pins so that now they include that extra layer of the bottom of the cuff that I just pulled up and enclosed. And when I'm doing this, I want to be careful that I'm keeping all my raw edges together, because we're going to run a 1/4 inch seam along here in just a second. And I want to make sure that that seam catches all these raw edges in it in one seam. Okay, we're getting there. We almost got it. And what this does is it's going to enclose all 5 of those raw seams. My face keeps itching while I'm doing it. I must have some cotton lint. It's going to enclose all of those 5 raw edges inside the cuff of the pillow. All right, last pin. Okay, now I've pinned all the way down. You can see how my cuff is wrapped around my tortilla right now, or my burrito right now. Now I'm going to stitch all the way down with a 1/4 inch seam. It doesn't have to, you could make it like between 1/4 and 1/2 just to make sure that you catch all those edges, because it'll be fine. You could do that. You could give it a generous 1/4 to make sure that you capture all of your. Don't do a scant. You can do a generous 1/4. And I'm just taking out my pins as I go. Dropped a pin over there. I've been thinking about filming a My Favorite Things. The one thing I didn't say out loud is to backstitch at the beginning and the end. Okay. All right. I've been thinking about making a My Favorite Things video for my YouTube channel. I think that could be fun. That has like all my favorite quilty things. So now we're going to take it and we're going to pull out the center from my burrito. So we've made this nice little burrito. We're going to pull everything out from that center, just pulling it all through there. Look how pretty this is. Okay, and I pulled it all out. And now you can see that I have a clean, pretty edge on both sides. So those 5 raw edges are now completely enclosed inside the cuff. There's no, this is going to be the outside of my pillow. This is going to be the inside of my pillow. And there's no raw edges. All of your raw edges are on the inside in there. And we're going to close up that, we're going to close this up in our French seam here in just a second. So I'm going to go give this a press and we're almost done with this pillow. Let's try on that thread right there. Okay. I'm going to give it a press and then we'll finish our pillow. Okay. All right. Our pillow is all pressed. Look how pretty. Okay. Now we're going to place it wrong sides together. That's going to, remember I said earlier, that's going to seem counterintuitive, but we're going to make French seams. So we need the right sides together to start with. And I'm going to pin it. I want to make sure it's pinned really well at the beginning right there and pin it really well right here where my contrast comes together because I want to make sure that stays lined up. In fact, I'm going to put a couple pins there. All right, then I'm going to pin it wrong sides together first. Yes. When you're doing a French seam, the wrong sides go together first. And then for the second step, your right sides go together. Yes, French seam. Yeah, Jackie, we're doing, the inside is going to have a French seam. And to make a French seam, you sew it wrong sides together, and then you flip it so that it's right sides together, and you sew again the same seam. And when you sew that second seam, it's going to enclose the first one and give you no raw edges. Have you done it? Jackie, have you done a French seam before? know why it's called a French seam. I should Google that. Does anybody know why it's called a French seam? Is it really a France thing? Yes, that's what we're making right now. Yes, so nice. I also like using it on bags because I like using it on bags for the same reason. It gives you nice clean seams inside a bag. Okay. All right. I am going to stitch all the way along there. And I'm going to stitch it with a generous 1/4 inch. And I am back stitching at the beginning and the end. And I also like to back stitch in my corners to reinforce my corners. So when I pivot, I will back stitch. I'm just stopping periodically to grab my pens. Okay. All right. I've stitched all the way around. Now I'm going to go to this corner right here where we did the pivot. And I'm just going to trim that corner just to reduce some of the bulk in that corner. I just trimmed straight across. Don't clip your seam, but I'm just getting some of the bulk out of that corner. All right, now I'm going to flip my pillowcase wrong side out for us to do this next step. I'm going to flip it wrong side out. I'm going to push my corners out really nicely. Then I'm going to go press it. And then I'll come back and do our last step on this pillowcase. And we'll have made 2 pillowcases in one live show. And I did make the king size pillowcase because I have a king size bed and king size pillows. So these are the king size that I'm making. But the pattern does include both sizes, or it will now. I'm adding the other size in. Okay. All right. Now, I've pressed it all the way around. So now we're going to do the second step of the French seam. I'm going to push. I showed you earlier, I had this little magnetic seam allowance on there. I'm going to push it back to almost a 5/8 inch because I want to completely enclose that 1/4 inch seam that I had made earlier. I am going to backstitch at the beginning end and on the corners. Oops, I accidentally cut my thread on that one. I accidentally hit my thread cutter. That's okay. All right, we've stitched all the way around. So now we have a nice finished seam on the inside, and we're going to flip it right side out. And that beautiful French seam is going to mean that we have no raw edges anywhere on this pillowcase, anywhere without I do need to trim threads. I'll go trim threads. Yeah. Trim a few loose threads there. Okay. Beautiful pillowcase. Look how gorgeous this is. Gorgeous pillowcase. These would make such a nice gift. Oh, can't you imagine giving these as a wedding gift, monogrammed? Wouldn't that be so nice? That would be so, oh, I think it came out so nice. We have, my husband has two nieces that are getting married this year. And so I think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to monogram a pillowcase for each of them. I think that would be such a nice gift for them. Okay. I'm going to push my corners out nice at the bottoms, give it a press, and my pillowcases are ready to go. And I'm excited. I think these came out super cute. Very pretty. Now I'm going to have to make the quilt that matches them. Ah, I love it. I love it. Okay. 2 pillowcases. Who feels ready to make pillowcases now? Let me know in the chat if you're ready to make pillowcases now. You feel like you can make them? These are, I love these colors. This is Three Sisters from Moda. This is, I think it's actually a combination of Muses and Sandalwood. I think it's a little bit from each of those. Or it might be all Muses. Yes. These would be great for college gifts too, especially if you make them in their college, like fabric for their college. That would be a great college gift too. That would be really good. Okay, my pillowcases are all made. These are the king size. I'm adding the king size measurements to the pattern. So if you ordered the pattern today, it'll have it in there. If you ordered the pattern from me previously, I'll be messaging you to see if you want the QR code for the updated pattern. Anytime I update my patterns, if you've purchased it previously, I will reach out to you to see if you want the QR for the updated pattern. All right. I'm so excited. I love my new pillowcases. I think that came out super well. And we have 3 lives scheduled for tomorrow. I will some baseball. Oh, That would be cute. Oh yeah, that would be so nice, Donna. I think that would be really nice to get some baseballs for the cuff and then like just a nice navy blue for the strip. That would be perfect. Okay. All right. So these are an awesome gift. They're very pretty. They make a nice wedding shower gift. Um, it's an odd sound. I don't know what that sound is. It's like a weird vibration. Okay. All right. It's been fun. I hope that everybody's enjoyed it. I hope everybody feels like they can make pillowcases now. This recording will hopefully be on the YouTube if everything's worked out like it should. And I will see everybody tomorrow. So tomorrow we're going to do sewing machine cover, thread catcher / pin cushion, and we'll work on our quilted jacket, and we'll have some D-stash and some kits mixed in. So make sure you join me for the lives tomorrow. We're going to be spending some time together tomorrow doing all of that. And it's going to be fun. It is going to be fun. Who knows what kind of trouble we'll get into, but it's going to be fun. And it's been great to see everybody tonight. And I will see y'all later. So let me end it over